I wanted to talk to you about the Demi thing because I'm a huge fan of Demi, and I don't know. I guess it's not really unexpected that you would end up playing with Demi, but it kind of, I don't know. It was a little bit unexpected for me.
It was
How did that
unexpected for
happen?
me too.
Yeah, how did that happen?
So we were on the last day of my band was out on tour opening for Black Label Society, and it was a tough tour. We were unrelated to the whole Demi story, but we were on the last day of what was a very long, few weeks. And I get a call from Demi's musical director basically saying that Demi is she has finished a new record, which is a much harder edge style than what she's done before. And she wants to not only play these new songs live, but she wants to rework her older material to fit this new style. And as we all know, like we've all heard it by now, Demi is a legit metalhead, like a
Yeah.
hard rock fan. She listens to heavier shit than I do, which is crazy because I listen to some heavy shit.
Yeah, I
She
saw.
turned me on to like some Florida death metal bands that I didn't know about,
Yeah, I know. Like you posted, I think it was Angel Maker, like in your Instagram story, and people
Body
were like,
Snatcher. Yeah.
"Oh, that's what it was. That's Body Snatcher." Yeah, and
Yes.
people were like freaking
Yeah.
out about that.
Yeah, exactly. It made news that Demi was the one that sent me this Body Snatcher song.
She's legit. She was talking about Job for a Cowboy 15 years ago.
Oh yeah, how she lost her shoes in a behemoth mosh pit or something
Right.
like that. Like, yeah, she's the world knows now, like she's
Yeah.
hardcore. And so it was really cool to get to be a part of creating the show with her and her team because it's not often in this industry that you get to see somebody really have this like rebirth and expression of self. And she was so happy. She was playing these songs, and I imagine in a way that she'd always heard them,
Hmm.
in her
Yeah.
head, even if she was playing them in more of a mainstream style before. And she just sank her teeth right into the rock roll. She was a rock star every single night. There were days on tour where she wasn't at her best, where she was feeling sick, and like,
Sure.
to her credit, we didn't cancel a single show. Or actually, I think there was one point where she completely lost her voice and couldn't talk, and we postponed a couple shows. But she powered through with grace and abandon that any rock band would be proud of. And it was just exciting to be a part of creating this new sound with her.
I mean, she's such a fucking incredible vocalist too. I've been a fan of hers for a really long time. She is ridiculous, and she does it.
She's
At least
unreal.
as far as I can tell, like she's doing this with minimal backing tracks because you see like the Jimmy Fallon stuff, and like you can tell it's not perfect, which means it's
Oh
real.
yeah. Oh yeah. There was one time when we were on tour in South America last year, and she was sort of famously sick, and where she said this offhand comment that made the news, saying this would be my last tour. I don't want to tour anymore because she had the flu, and we had an arena show that night. Um, there was some chatter backstage, like, is she going to use a backing track? And she got there and said, absolutely fucking not. I have never done that, and I will never do that. And like, she got out on stage. She didn't go for a lot of those high notes, her signature
Yeah.
notes. She told the crowd right there in the crowd, right there in the moment. She said, "Hey guys, you're gonna have to help me sing today." And it was a rock show,
Yeah.
and
Exactly.
like I give her all the props in the world for that moment because it would have been the easiest thing in the world for her to snap her fingers and say, "Turn on the backing track. I want to sound perfect." And she went out there, no auto tune, no tricks, no backing
Hmm.
tracks, and crushed it like a pro. And I just have a ton of respect for her in so many ways.
So how did she discover you? Was it through her director? Like, where was the actual connection there?
I believe it was through her former guitar player, Max Bernstein.
Okay.
Max and I are old pals from when I was touring with Jermaine Jackson and he was playing with Kesha. We were rehearsing next door to each other. We met each other then. Just kind of stayed in touch. He's a straight up like punk rock and roll guy that is now firmly in the mainstream pop world. He plays guitar for Taylor Swift. He plays guitar for Miley Cyrus, like the A list of the A list. And he was Demi's guitar player for a while. And so when he found out that she was looking for an all female band to craft this show with, he told their musical director, Stacey Jones, he's like, "You've got to talk to Nita." So I'm so excited that like when that's the goal, that I'm the call, if that
Yeah.
makes sense. Like how cool that I'm the person people think of for that stuff. And yeah, so that's where the connect was.
it seems like you guys are just having so much fun with those shows. Not to say that you don't with other shows, but like you said, she's kind of reinvented herself. Almost, even though she's like a giant pop star, it almost feels like you're seeing a club band or something, if that makes sense.
Totally. It's very raw. It's very real. Another thing that I enjoyed about being on that tour is she doesn't plan out her stage banter. She doesn't say the same thing every
Hmm.
night. And she will, comment on people's signs in the crowd or, talk about something about last time she was there in that city. And it just feels like a regular show. I think a lot of us had this idea, a lot of people had this idea, like when I went over to that camp, that it was going to be this very manufactured, very,
Right.
put together show. And it really wasn't. There was not a lot of differences between that tour and any other tour I've done. It was straightforward rock and roll show every single night.